Good day and welcome to another Monday segment of A Week at the Plot. And as you will have noticed, I've just turned the calendar from September to October. And for me, that's quite an event because the 1st of October marks the beginning of what I think of as our growing year, October to September. I know quite a few of you think I'm completely mad and completely daft doing that. But you know what? That's very much what my dad used to think of. He used to think of the harvest times that we had as the end of something and the putting in his case, meteor peas and broad beans as the start of the next growing year. And you know what? If it was good enough for Dad, it's well good enough for me. It's interesting really because we've had a few days back in Guernsey to see Mum, and that was absolutely lovely. It was really, really great to see her again, and it rained quite a bit whilst we were there, but it was also really nice and sunny at the same time, so it was quite mixed. We had one day where it was really, really wet until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I noticed that there were some weeds on Mum's patio, so I went out on 2 occasions just to pull those weeds out to keep that patio just a bit nice and neat and weed free. There's more weeding that needs to be done in the actual plant pots, and hopefully I'll get onto that when we are next over there, which may not be for a while because with everything that's been going on, the cost of getting to Guernsey, well, the cost of everything, isn't it? It's just going up, as we know. And of course, in the UK, we've got this ridiculous fuel shortage at the moment, down to Brexit, not really down to anything else apart from Brexit. We don't have enough lorry drivers in the UK to maintain the life that we have all expected in the UK, and making people feel unwelcome from the continent and shutting them out has made them not want to feel like coming here and working, and who would blame them? I certainly wouldn't. So we don't have enough lorry drivers to keep things going the way that we expect in the UK. We also don't have the number of seasonal workers to actually do picking of crops and things in our fields. So they're now talking about shortages of food on shelves and at Christmas and all of that type of thing. So there we are. What a joy we've got to look forward to. But hey, less of that, more about what we have in our garden, in our plot here. I've just picked more carrots. Really fat one there, bit stumpy at the end, look, but nice fat long carrots. There's a bit of carrot root fly there. It's a bit there on that one, but you know what? Really decent carrots. And oh, who was it? Sorry, I've forgotten. Somebody commented, how do we store our carrots? Well, we usually eat our carrots, so we don't really take them out of the ground and store them. Because we grow carrots generally in our taller raised beds, if the ground does freeze, which it does in London sort of February, March time, we can get some pretty hard frosts and pretty cold weather. It doesn't matter because our carrots and our parsnips are in soft compost in these raised beds. So even when it's frozen, we can harvest them. And usually, I must say, we've eaten all of our carrots by the time that we get to Christmas. We've most probably got some left over for Christmas. Obviously, I'm doing a load in the polytunnel, and fingers crossed that they will develop. I have had a look in the polytunnel just a moment ago, and they do need good water. I did give them a good water the other day, but they need another good water. But yeah, we don't really take our carrots out of the ground or our parsnips and store them. However, Dad used to, and he used to store them in sand. And all he did, he used to get a Hessian sack and put sand in it, and then he would layer up his carrots in sand, and layer of sand, layer of carrots, layer of sand, layer of carrots. And there's, you know, the old timers I know that are around still do that type of thing, though I don't think they often use Hessian sacks. And Dad only used Hessian sacks because he would double them up. He'd use 2 Hessian sacks. At work, they used to use a lot of sacks, Hessian sacks, on the docks. So Dad had them when they weren't being used anymore. They were going to be thrown away, basically. And he would take those Hessian sacks and he'd use them himself. So that's how he stored things. But yes, you can store them in sand. And if you look at some of the old books, they do actually do a mound of sand and loose compost as well. And they seem to store quite well, or they certainly did in the olden days. But we're going to just leave them in the carrot bed there, and they will be absolutely fine for us. But coming back today, having been away for 4 or 5 days, it's looking that bit more autumnal. There's been quite a lot of wind around. In fact, in Guernsey, we had force 9 at one point on Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock. And Mum's got a sort of a plastic chest, plastic chest on the patio. And the lid blew off that and hit the window. We all went, "Oh, what's that?" So Mum's chest, which they were going to get rid of, it's a sort of garden chest, you know. They were going to get rid of that. It doesn't have a lid at the moment. Well, it doesn't have a lid that sits on top. It has a lid that sits behind to stop it being blown away. But I'm sure my brother will be getting rid of that soon. It happened on Saturday afternoon, and we just didn't have time to do it ourselves and take it to the dump. But yeah, the amaranth outside here, both the red one and the tree spinach, have been blown around quite a bit whilst we've been away. Quite a few of a lot of the leaves have gone. Most of the leaves, in fact, on all of the beans have gone now. The Portuguese cabbage is getting so big that the nets that I've got that net doesn't go across them anymore. So I'm going to need to think about that. But the interesting thing is Portuguese cabbage. I've always found that it's not particularly been liked by slugs and snails. This year, with this set of Portuguese cabbage here, the slugs and snails seem to quite like it because there's quite a few holes in leaves. However, the dazzling blue kale is completely untouched by slugs and snails. Isn't that interesting? I find that interesting. I'm wondering, is the Portuguese cabbage just nearer to the communal path where there is potentially more slugs and snails rather than on our paths, on our plots, if you see what I mean? But whatever it is, they certainly are being munched more, but the dazzling blue kale is not. So that's definitely one, as I've said, that we're going to be doing next year. But I'm now thinking, do I put the Portuguese cabbage in a different place next year? Which it most probably would be, because I still want to use that as a tomato bed next year. And if I do, where do I put it? The Portuguese cabbage seedlings that we've got are doing really well, and they will need to go into a bed quite soon. And of course, we're going to be planting our garlic pretty soon as well. That's something that Dad never grew, garlic. Onions, overwintering onions, yes. And spring sown onions, yes. But garlic wasn't something that was on Dad's radar for growing. And you know what, as I've been rambling on here, it has started raining. And yeah, maybe it's stopping. I think we're going to get the rain that is forecast. You know, sometimes you get that forecast saying it's going to be rain or torrential rain and it just blows over. But I think maybe the skies seem to be darkening and maybe we are going to get more rain. And I'm so pleased I did swap out the gravel trays without holes for the gravel trays with holes, because certainly most of our plants and seedlings would have been swimming in the rain that we had here whilst we were away. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it there for today. I think I've been rambling, haven't I? I've been rambling. Have I given you any information? You can see that I've harvested more carrots, but I'm not sure I've given you any information. But there we are. Some days it's just a ramble. It's definitely stopped raining now, so maybe it's going to come in showers. Maybe it's going to come in showers. Right, I'll leave it there and I'll see you very soon for hopefully a more informative A Week at the Plot. What I do have to do now is eat 2 golden raspberries that I saw. So I'm going to go outside, I'm going to harvest those 2, and I'm going to pop them in my mouth. See you soon. Bye. Good day. That's our end of the row beds beans out for this year. They've done well. They've done us well. I've harvested the last lots of the runner beans, of the Golden Gate and of the Madeira Maroon. I've taken down the structures like this here because I don't want them to blow over in the wind. And it's really beginning to rain. So you know what? I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm glad to have got this job done today, because that means that tomorrow I'll be able to use the rebars I've taken out for our Brussels sprouts. Bye! Good day. I don't think you can really see, but that's, well, you can see that yellow truck just in front of that yellow truck. That's the composting area, or one of the composting areas of Kew Gardens where we are at the moment. And this is literally a bird's eye view because we're on top of the tree walkway. I'm not sure, can I zoom in? Can you get the steam? Can you see the steam coming off that? I'm not sure you can. I can. But yeah, they're clearly turning the compost. And we've been seeing it used to good effect as a mulch on or around trees this morning. Let's zoom out. And as you can see, at the moment, we're virtually on our own. If not on our own now, on this walkway. There's Richard over there. Over there goes into London. Over there somewhere is Richmond and Heathrow. That, you can see that building in the distance, that's towards our house. We're further along than that, but yeah. Oh, there are two other people on here as well. Right. So yes, we're at Kew today. Much needed visit to one of our favourite places. And I come back over here. And I'm just going to look at that view for a minute and watch the steam coming off that fantastic compost. Bye! Good day. It's Saturday afternoon, must be about 3:30, and it's been a glorious day so far. It was really sunny this morning after really heavy fog. The sun came out and we had a working party this morning, and it was really good. It was really good. We got a lot of jobs done, which is absolutely great. And I'm back here now, and after a sort of busy morning, it's just so quiet down here. So quiet. Odd rumble of chatter in the background, but yeah, really still, really still. And what I've decided to do is to do some more cuttings. This time I'm going to do blackberry cuttings, thornless blackberry cuttings, cultivated blackberry cuttings. So yes, cultivated blackberry cuttings. I have taken this branch off a fellow plot holder's blackberry. In fact, I've taken three exactly the same. I obviously have asked the plot holder if I could take these off as well, and she was absolutely fine with that. And the reason I've taken 3 off is because I'm going to be doing another highly scientific experiment. After we did the lavender cuttings a week or so ago, a number of people said to me, you don't need to use rooting powder, or asked the question as well, do you need to use rooting powder? Well, no, you don't need to use rooting powder. You can just not use it. But the rooting powder invigorates growth. So it's good to try and get ahead. So if you do have rooting powder and want to use it, then please do. Otherwise, just do exactly the same method as we did with the lavender. What a few other people said to me is, have you tried rooting with honey? And I said, no, I haven't tried rooting with honey. I think the best place for honey is on toast. But I thought, well, you know what, we might as well give this a go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these blackberry cuttings. I'm going to do 1 set without any rooting powder. I'm going to do 1 set with rooting powder. And I'm going to do 1 set with honey. And when I say with honey, I mean what we're going to do is we're going to cut this into, well, in fact, let's do it now. We're going to cut this. I'm going to cut it there above, and then I'm going to cut down here, and you will see that that's maybe about 8 inches. Can you see that? That's about 8 inches. So I'm going to cut below, and then what I'm going to do is strip this leaf off, strip this leaf off. I'm going to leave these 2 leaves on, and then for one, I'm not going to dip this in anything. For another, I'm going to dip this in rooting powder, and for another, I'm going to dip it in honey. And what honey am I using? Bog standard runny honey. I'm sure some people will say, well, actually, if you use Manuka, it will be better than using plain. But I've got plain. The reasoning behind using honey is actually the fact that honey is naturally antibacterial. So by putting honey on the end, hopefully that will stop it getting diseased and rotting. It doesn't actually invigorate the growth of roots like hormone rooting powder is supposed to do. So anyway, let's get on before that cutting that I've just cut starts drying out. So the cuttings here are going to be with rooting powder. This set is going to be with honey, and this set is going to be without anything. I've got my cuttings like I've just shown you. So I'm going to dip that in honey, make a hole, pop it in, press it down. Make a hole, not straight to the bottom, not right to the bottom. Dip that in honey, pop it in, press it down. Hole, got the cutting, in it goes, in there, not right to the bottom, press it down. And then finally the one at the back. Oh, I've dropped my lid. Right, I'm going to top this up with more compost as well. And now I'm going to do cuttings here in this one with no rooting powder and no honey, and in this one here, this one that you can just see, with this hormone rooting powder, and then we'll be back to them. So that's the 3 sets of cuttings done. The pot on the left has got cuttings with no honey and no rooting powder. The pot in the middle has had the tips of the cuttings dipped into runny honey, and the one on the right, the end tips have been dipped into hormone rooting powder. As I say, when I depressed this, I pushed all the soil up so that they're all nice and firm in the soil, it lowered the level of the soil quite a bit, the compost quite a bit, so I'm going to top those up in a minute. But basically that highly scientific experiment started. That's our 3 sets of cuttings again, and as you can see, I've left the leaf at the top of each set of cutting, or I hope you can see that. If we come over here, these are the lavender that we took cuttings of 12 days ago now, and they're looking fine. Some of the lower leaves, if I can get in there, can you see this lower leaf is just discoloring a bit? That's absolutely fine. That will most probably die back and fall off and won't be an issue, but they're all looking really good at the moment. And as I said, I'm hoping for those to have about a 50% strike rate, i.e. hopefully at least 50% of those will root. When it comes over to these, who knows? We shall see in the late spring what these roots are like, and what we'll do is we'll tip them out and see the root development in, I would have thought, around the end of May, something like that. But that's it for today. Another highly scientific experiment, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye. Good day. You can most probably see from the sun on these leaves, on these pepper leaves, that it is very sunny at the moment. So I've taken these 2 peppers out of the bed that they were in, and as you can see, I've potted them up into these tubs. They do have fruit on, as you can see here, and you can see in here. I turn that one round, you can see this here, but this is, sorry, this is frosted a little bit. So actually I'm going to take the fruits off both of these, and there's plenty of flowers coming, and after they've been here in the poly for about a week, I'm going to take them home and hopefully be able to overwinter them, maybe even grow peppers over the winter, though I think we will have to hand pollinate. Yeah, I'm going to have to speak to Greta, or get in touch with Greta about that. But yes, look at that sun. If I bring you around here, look at that sun. Well, even in here, there's shards of sunlight coming through the slats, but that's fine. That's fine. It does look a bit Freddy Krueger-like, I think, but never mind. We are coming up to Halloween, of course, in a few weeks' time. So I have picked all of the peppers that were on those plants, and they will be going into an omelette that we're going to have this evening. We've got leftover potatoes, steamed potatoes. We've got leftover cooked Portuguese cabbage. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to just put a bit of oil on those potatoes, put them into a glass Pyrex dish that we have, a round one. I'm going to roast them a little bit, take them out, add the peppers, add the chopped up Portuguese cabbage. Then I'm going to just do some eggs with a bit of cheese and salt and pepper and pour that over and bake that in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. And that will be supper. Though I do need to pick some lettuce, so I must remember to do that before I go home. But the other job that I got on with today was sorting out our Brussels sprouts. So after I staked all of the Brussels sprouts using the rebars, I'm using the rebars simply because I have them. So you could use bamboo and make sure that it's really firm in the ground. Once I'd staked them, I looked again at the two that I thought were best, because if you remember, we want to do some seed saving from our Groninger Brussels sprouts in about March, April, May, when they go to flower. So we'll harvest from them, let the plant go to flower, and then we will get seed pods, which we're going to seed save. There were two that I had earmarked as potential plants to save seeds from, and I've tied a red ribbon around one now, so I know that that's the one that I want to save seeds from. The reason I've chosen that one is because there is a greater gap between the leaves, where the leaves are coming out, and that is allowing for bigger Brussels sprouts. So that's why I've gone for one over the other. And you know what? If you like really, really small button Brussels sprout, then you'd have gone for the other one, because that's what that one, even though they're both exactly the same variety, for one reason, one is producing very tight leaves with smaller Brussels sprouts, and the other one, the leaves are spaced further apart with bigger Brussels sprouts. So yeah, you know, save the seed from the plant that you think is best for you when you are doing anything, absolutely anything at all. So I'm pleased to have got that job done. There's so many jobs to do on the plot. I mean, just so many. I'm most probably going to spend an hour now just cutting things down and doing a bit of weeding. I don't have much time to do that really. I also need to do the plot tour, which I'm hoping to do tomorrow, so I'll most probably have that uploaded on Wednesday. What I've also decided to do is I'm going to be doing a week at the plot extracts, because what I've realised is that even though many of you love the whole segment of a week at the plot, sometimes people are just looking for how to do lavender cuttings, let's say. So what I'm going to be doing is thinking about that as I do these videos now. And when I upload the full A Week at the Plot on a Monday, I may, and this won't happen every week, I may upload an A Week at the Plot segment or segments later that same week, which has specific jobs like propagating lavender, something like that. So I hope that you'll find that interesting. Maybe there'll be some people who don't like watching the full A Week at the Plot, who would prefer to just see those extracts of information of jobs being done. And I might look back at the A Week at the Plots that we have done and see if there are any segments that I can take out from those to upload. I'm not going to be rushing any of that and looking back. You know, maybe when I've got some time in January and February, I can do that. Anyway, I took a lot of the bean frames, or the edge bed bean, sorry, the beds that are at the, yeah, the edge beds, that's what I'm calling them. The edge bed beans I took down. I haven't taken their roots out of the ground yet. And maybe that's something that we'll pick up with a Week at the Plot next week. But I can see in front of me here, I've got the Tarbay and the Canadian White. Everything has died off now. As you know, I harvested all of those a couple of weeks ago. So now I need to take the bamboo frames down and cut back the growth. And I also need to do that with the Bird's Egg Horticultural and Helder as well. In fact, I also need to do it in the other bed where we had the plants that came from Vivi. So I think whilst the sun is out, I'm going to crack on and do that. I'm going to say goodbye to you for this final segment in this week's A Week at the Plot. And I'll see you again very soon. Very, very soon, in fact, on Planet Vegetaria, with more segments of A Week at the Plot. See you soon. Bye.